time for another senior story as a part of our Last Word series. I don't know what's going on in Clarkston right now. Hear some sirens, but yeah. So today we have Abby Weaver. She's one of our students. She actually joined Edge just last year, so her senior year was her first year here, and we've been so grateful to have her be a part of our program. So take a look, and you're going to be blessed by the story she has to share. Thank you for joining us. We've got Abby Weaver here. And Abby, tell everybody where you're from and where do you go to school?
I'm from North Branch, and I go to North Branch High School. It's an hour north of Kcstudents.orion, so if you take Lapeer Road, 1 hour, that's where I live.
Well, that's amazing. And for, I'm not going to shame anybody who doesn't come that lives closer, but, someone drives an hour to go to church. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Maybe slightly. So hey, thanks for coming to share part of your story. For the students who don't know you, you and your siblings have all started coming to Edge and Breakaway last year. I mean, you've been around Kensington for a while, right?
Yeah, we started coming to Kensington about 3 years ago, but because of how far away we live, we were able to start coming to Edge this year because their schedule changed. So it was a cool experience, even though I only got to be part of it for 1 year.
Well, we're glad that you were with us, and not only are you a senior, you jumped right into the student leadership team, so you joined the SLT immediately. And there's a lot of changes that we made to our program this year, and changes that you guys didn't get to see because of Corona. But there are some things that we put into place because of you and the other students. And I got to say, personally, I have appreciated how you've given your input and how you've been, you're very honest and open and vulnerable. Like, you are willing to tell what you think and how you feel about things. And you're very encouraging to others, for other students and even for leaders in staff. So we're grateful for you. We're going to be sad to see you go, but we're not getting there yet. Okay, so I got some questions, and really would love to hear your perspective as a senior that is heading out. Like, what would you say to ninth graders about some of these things, these incoming ninth graders and everybody else? So the first question really is, it's not a question. Would you be willing to share some of your story about your faith journey and your life journey that led you to here?
So my story kind of, in a nutshell, started when I was really young. It started with my parents' divorce. I think I was like 6 years old, and it was a really ugly divorce. Like, they couldn't even talk to each other during the process. So I was put in the middle, and I was forced to mediate between them, and it just made me grow up a lot faster because I had to deal with a lot of adult problems that I really shouldn't have had to deal with at that age. And then that kind of changed things for me. It gave me a different view of the world, and it also gave me a different mindset. Like, I always had to be in the middle of things, and it made me try and be an adult from then on. I always had to be in charge of the situation and try and make it better. But a few years after my parents' divorce, my mom got remarried, and it was really cool, except for we weren't welcomed as warmly as we wanted to be by the family. We were the new family, and we were the step family, so we weren't right. Openly welcomed, and that was a challenge to get used to. But we did warm up to each other, and the family did end up welcoming us. And then shortly after that,
there's a lot of you.
There are a lot of us.
Keep going.
Well, we actually added more when we adopted my younger brother and sister, because 9 people living in a house wasn't enough, so we got some more. You literally
had the Brady Bunch living up in North Branch.
We did. We actually had a minibus at one time just to fit us all. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had 2. At first, we had a mini school bus, like an actual minibus, but that's actually...
Did you paint it?
We had to buy the second bus because of that, because it's illegal to drive a yellow school bus if you're not a school. So we had to sell that one and buy a different bus that was already white.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Please tell me you guys like put your faces on the side of your name like you were the traveling family band or something.
We did, but North Branch is so small. Everyone knew us as those people with the bus. So the bus would show up and everyone was like,
family.
"Oh, it's the bus." Yeah, the bus family. So it was like embarrassing because for years, like every time we would go to Walmart, people would have the same expression all over the store. They'd be like, "What? How many?" And then they'd stand there and they'd count us. Like as we went by, they'd be like, 1, 2, 3. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow. But you guys, but you get along now? Like you guys
yes.
get along well?
Yeah. Like we adopted them and they're like our best friends. Like we don't even realize that we're not even from the same parents. Like we're just one big family. So
awesome.
Yeah. That was really cool. So then a couple years after we adopted my siblings, I was actually abused, and it kind of shifted my whole world. I had this big secret that I had to hide from everyone outside of my family, and then I had all of these issues that I had to deal with because of it, and that's when I really started to rely on God. So it was kind of like a bittersweet time, because obviously no one wants to have to go through that. But that was when I really found God, because everyone really needs a big moment in their life, an eye-opening moment when you realize that you do need God, because up until that point, you don't really know what other people are talking about with their walks with God until you experience it for yourself. And that was my moment when I really started to rely on Him, and I really understood that, other people aren't just talking nonsense. I really can give everything to Him and He'll make it better. So it was bittersweet in that I did really come closer to God, and I really got to know Him and start my journey with Him.
Yeah, you've had a lot of things happen in your life. You've had a lot of ups and downs, and it makes me well. First of all, I'm sorry for all that you've gone through, but then I'm also encouraged by how you've come out, and you are a very strong person. And you say a lot of this is because of your family and because of your relationship with Christ. So, what would you say a relationship with Jesus looks like?
So for me, especially in high school, just because we all know, high school is busy and it's crazy and life gets really messy.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, like, to have a relationship with God, you had to read the Bible. And that's not true. Like, reading the Bible is great, and it's a great way to get to know God, and it's a great way to be able to understand Him and hear His voice more. But I thought that was the only way, and it's not. For me, reading the Bible, it's a lot easier for me when I sit there with the Bible and then with a laptop, so I can be like, oh, what does this verse mean? And then go look it up. And there's not really a whole lot of time for that in high school, and a lot of it is confusing, and I didn't know what it meant, and then I was really discouraged to form a relationship with God. But I think the one thing that people really need to understand is that's not the only way. Like, relationship means relationship. You're not going to go and read a book about your friend. You're going to have a relationship with them and talk with them and spend time with them, and that's how your relationship with Jesus grows. Like, you don't have to pray before you eat lunch. Like, people are going to stare at you, and that's awkward. But, just before a test, if you just send up a silent prayer and be like, God, help me with this. Like, that's just spending time with Him and just talking with Him. And He wants to be there with you. And if you don't have time to read the Bible or understand the Bible, it's not the only way to have a relationship with Him. And that was one of the big things for me, was that I just plain didn't have time, or I didn't understand what it was saying. And so the biggest thing for the relationship part was talking to Him and spending time with God.
Yeah. So are there different ways that what are the ways that you feel like you connect with Him most?
The main way for me is through nature, and we live out way out in the woods, so we just have nature all around us.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we've got a big
Yeah.
pond in our front yard, and we've got a ton of yard and a ton of woods, and like literally like a 2-minute walk from my house is the Flint River. So we just have so much nature all around us. And that's
Yeah.
the main way, because you can just look out and see this ginormous river that he made, or all these big trees, or the sky with all the stars at night. And for me, it's really cool to be able to see everything that he made, and that he made carefully and intentionally. And he made this tree to be like this, and it's different from that tree in these ways. And it's just cool that he took the time to make such, like, all those little details. And I know that he took the time to make all the little details about me. And he made me special, and he made everyone special, and all my siblings, even when we're arguing with each other, he still loves us all. And it's cool to be able to see that he just takes so much time with all of us, and he makes really beautiful things. And that's the main way that I can connect with God. And then
That's
the other way
awesome.
that I connect with him is through music. But I don't like the typical churchy music as much. I like Christian rap.
Yeah, me neither.
But
That's so funny. Keep going. How'd you find that? How'd you find it?
so it was funny. Like, one of the songs that I actually did really enjoy, and it really spoke to me during the church sermon. I went to look that up on Spotify, and I went to the song playlist, and on Spotify it'll play songs that are similar to the one that you're listening to. And the first song that played on the playlist was this song from KB, and it was a rap song. And I was just in the car, and I was like, I wasn't paying quite attention to the words, and I just started hearing it. I was like, what? There's no way this can be Christian. I like it. So I had to go and Google the lyrics, because I didn't know they made Christian rap before that.
This stuff's good. There's no way it's Christian.
Right?
I feel that way about movies and most of the music, so I get you.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, that's awesome. Well, I hope some students can take something away from that, like knowing that there's not just one set way to connect with Jesus. It's not just reading your Bible. I mean, it's important to know what Jesus says. But beyond that, like, it's tough. So it's great to know, like, this is how you can connect. These are some ways you can connect with Jesus. So thinking through being in high school, what would you say is one of the hardest things about following Jesus as a high schooler?
The hardest thing I would say is the attitude that's all over high school. There's so much drama in high school, and just stuff that God doesn't really want for us, and it's not really part of his plan for us in high school. But it's high school. Like, you can't really get away from the drama, and you can't get away from people gossiping, and it's really hard to rise above it, because gossip is interesting and drama is exciting, and all of these things that you want to participate in, even if they're not what you should be participating in. And it is hard to remember that, especially in the moment. Like, when somebody's telling you something, you just want to automatically judge them, or just be passing it on again, and you just have to stop and remember, like, no, that's not what God wants. Like, what should I do with this information, or how can I help the situation, or can I go talk to this person who's struggling with something? But a lot of the attitude in high school is negative, and especially towards Christians. Like, people don't want to see you praying before a test. They just want to see you taking the test. And, like, even if you were going to pray before lunch, like, it's kind of weird, because there's always that, oh, like, someone's going to make fun of me, or I'm going to be that kid. And that's really hard, because you don't want to be that kid, and that can hurt your faith, because if you don't want to be singled out in school, then you try and go with the flow, and the flow is not what God wants. So that can be a real hard thing in high school, to try and remember that it's okay to be different, but it is hard to be different.
One of the things that you just said, there's a stigma that surrounds being a Christ follower. There's a sticking out that happens. So have you noticed that? Is there a way that people look at Christians at your school?
Yeah, and that's one of the harder things. Is either you can be the oddball or you can be like picked on. Like people can use it against you,
Mm.
which is kind of weird because usually as Christians, like you're trying to be nicer to people and live your life in a more holy way. So it's kind of weird when someone starts to use it against you. And
For doing
personally,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the personal one that I ran in with was like being a goody goody or goody two shoes, trying to do what God wants,
Mm.
and Bible
Right.
thumper, which it was interesting
What does
because
that mean?
people use it as like you're beating them over the head with the Bible, like you're trying to shove the faith down their throat, which I've never
Nice.
done.
Nice.
Like, if you don't want to believe in God,
That
that's
is
your
not
own
you at
thing.
all.
So that was interesting. Um,
Wow.
but there was actually two boys that they kind of like ganged up on me for that, because
Mm.
of my decision to wait until marriage. And they didn't like that. That's not how they were living their lives, and they didn't agree with it. And they used that as an excuse to pick on me and make fun of me quite a bit. And that was hard. Like, there's a lot of people who aren't living their lives like that in high school who aren't planning on waiting till marriage. And it's hard to stick out and be the sore thumb, especially when people notice it and they use it against you. And that can be really discouraging. And even if that's
Yeah.
not your decision, even if it's you have to tell your friends, hey, I'm choosing not to gossip, and then they leave you out of conversations, or even if they make a group chat without you because you don't want to be involved.
Mm.
And it can be really hard if you're singled out because of decisions that you're making. And it can be tough to go through high school like that.
Do you think it's worth it?
I do. And even just a couple weeks after high school has been over, it's not so significant anymore. And it's the biggest part of your life while you're in it. And things seem so incredibly important, and even just the tiny things like, oh, what do I wear? If I come to school with wet hair, people are going to say stuff about me. And it just seems so big, and everything is just such a big deal. But just coming out of it, it's really not. And I have no relationship with those boys that were making fun of me, and they are not part of my life, but God is. And to do what He wanted me to do in that moment was the best thing. And it also is an example to other people. It can be an example like, hey, you're not the only one, or hey, this is how you should be living your life. Because I did have multiple people that just noticed, hey, why are you happy? Like, and I know, like, you'll hear stories about that and be like, that's such a weird question, but people actually ask me, like, why are you so happy? And, like why are you choosing to do that? And it's just because of God. Like, I don't need any other reason other than that. I don't have to be sucked into the pettiness of high school. Like, this is how I want to live my life, and it can be a good example to other people, as well as just plain living how God asks us to live.
Yeah. I mean, that's both of those things are huge. I mean, one, you talked about like there's the big picture view, which is so hard to get and so hard to see. You have to work for it. You have to be able to step outside of the moment to realize, oh, this time is only a short part of my life. Like, there's going to be an after high school. There will be a day I won't see these people. So there's that. But then on top of it, you just mentioned like there are some people who actually like that, and who probably would want to live that way, but maybe they feel pressured into living the way everybody else does. So seeing someone else do it, I would bet you probably helped encourage, give courage to people who wanted to live that way but were kind of afraid to. Okay, so to the ninth graders that are coming into Edge this year, and to everybody really, like, what is the thing that you wish you would have known 4 years ago?
One of the main things is we all know that, like, friends are the most important part of high school, and even though you do spend more time with your family, like, friends are the people who are going to have the biggest impact on you, and those are the people whose opinion you're going to want, and whose like behaviors you kind of you kind of mimic those people. So those people are going to be the most important people. So they have to be the right people. And like if you hang out with the wrong crowd, you're probably going to make bad decisions, and it's just what happens. So especially coming into ninth grade, it can be hard to make new friends. So
Mm-hmm.
senior year, you're not really going to want to make new friends, but maybe in ninth grade or as you're coming up, to find those people that believe the same things you do is going to be really helpful. You're going to need those people to help encourage your faith and to pick you up when you fall down, because high school is hard and you will lose sight of God every now and then. And faith is it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes your relationship is going to be really good, and sometimes you're going to feel really distant from God. And if you don't have the people who can pick you back up, then you're going to struggle in your faith. And it's really important to have those friends. So, especially coming into ninth grade, start coming to Edge, because you're going to find those friends. And it's hard to make new friends. So if you don't already have the people who know God and who believe in Him, then Edge is another way that you can find those people. And you'll find people your own age who believe in the same things you do, and you'll come to a group and you'll be able to talk about your struggles and struggles in school and faith and all of these things. But you're going to need people, a good support group that you can lean into during your high school years. So you're going to need to find the friends who also love God like you do.
Yeah. And I want to pull something out of that, because you're not speaking into this as if you have no experience, because you didn't even go to Edge till last year, and you and your family, you guys have really made a lot of effort to get to know people that you didn't know before. And it's not like you were coming in as a ninth grader. This was your last year. Like, I think some people would have been like, yeah, whatever, I just got a year left, and wouldn't want to give the investment, but you guys did. And how was that for you?
It was really cool for us to be able to see so many people, especially all in one place, that wow, there really are a lot of teenagers even who love God. And sometimes in school it doesn't feel that way, and with all the gossip and all the ungodly things that just go on during school, it can feel like, man, like nobody else believes in God like I do. I'm just so alone. But Edge was really helpful, and it was really encouraging to be able to see how many other people really loved God. And for us, it was a little different because we do live so far away that we were the only family coming from our school. So we didn't get to hang out with our friends from Edge, but it was still a really cool experience, and it helped us grow in our faith, and it helped us meet other people who we could contact during the week and just check in on. And then we got to come together on Sunday nights and have all of these friends who believed in what we did, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, well, I know we loved having you, and I know that other students did too. So, one more question. Of all the things that happened last year, what was your favorite moment or memory from our Edge program?
Well, I wasn't in Edge for very long, so my favorite part of Edge actually wasn't in Edge, but it was the one time that I got to go to the Wild Retreat, and that was really fun. It was interesting.
Yeah. That was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of crazy stuff that went on there, but it was super cool, and that was the only retreat I went to, so I can't speak for any of the other ones. But that one specifically, it's awesome to be able to have so much fun with so many other people your own age who are going through what you're going through and who believe in what you believe, and you get to learn with them and have fun with them and bunk with them, and it's cool to be able to spend the weekend, and you get to grow, but you also have a lot of fun, and it makes for cool stories, which it's kind of really important, like, to have those stories, so then other people don't think like, oh, those church kids, they have fun. Like, it's kind of cool to be able to tell people like, yeah, like, we still
break out of the cabins at midnight.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like, we still do have a lot of fun, and it's cool stuff like that, and retreats and parties that you can invite other people to be able to share your faith, which is also really cool, and just to be able to meet new people.
Well, thank you, Abby. Thanks for taking some time to share. We're looking forward to your future. We believe that it is super bright. We are all so proud of you and how how you graduated first and foremost. I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Thank you.
But beyond that, how you have boldly chosen to follow Jesus, no matter what, and He has used you to share help with so many people, but yeah, we're excited for what's coming next in your future. We know it's going to be awesome, and we're looking forward to seeing it. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us. Have a great night. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.